Namaste and welcome, fellow seekers, to the Seekers of the Eternal podcast, episode number 43. I am visual artist Palehorse, and I'm joined by my podcast partner, Jay D'Rocha. In this episode is titled Crossing the Threshold. Here we're talking about the hero's journey. We're talking about heeding the call to adventure. And I'm fresh back from travels to Korea and Thailand. This is a really wonderful trip for me. I'm so supercharged with inspiration and really powerful ideas that came to me during this trip. The last time I was in Thailand was 20 years ago. If you're familiar with my work, you know how impactful those early trips to Thailand were for me so long ago. It really cracked me open. It was really for me crossing the threshold into a new world, which opened up so many new things for me. My interest in sacred art, that leading into interest in meditation, in plant medicines, and so many things that I enjoy today were really seeds that started so long ago with that heeding the call to adventure and going on that journey. And now 20 years ago, with everything that I've learned and grown from over the years, getting to revisit those temples and then bringing back this inspiration that will translate into artwork. We're also going to be talking in this podcast about Steven Pressfield, the author Steven Pressfield, and his book, The Artist's Journey. And that in our lives, we're living out these heroes' journeys. And once we live that hero's journey, the next phase in our lives is the artist's journey. So we're going to be talking about that and encouraging everyone here to start seeing their life in a more playful way, to see yourself as the hero in your story, and to provide just inspiration, courage for you on your journey. And we hope that you enjoy this episode. And if you're interested in helping to support this podcast, check out the links below there. I'm always releasing new apparel, t-shirts, and accessories and prints. I have a current print release out now of the bird deity Garuda, which is a symbol for this creative inspiration that comes from the divine down into human minds, filling us with inspiration that will manifest into the artwork and the creative expressions that we bring forth in our lives. So we really hope that you enjoy this podcast, and courage and blessings of joy to you, friends.
Fear not, fellow seekers. Peace awaits you in the unknown.
Welcome back to the Seekers of the Eternal podcast. We are your hosts, my brother Krishna and myself, Jason D'Rocha. Krishna, it's so nice to see you, my brother.
Yeah, so nice to see you. Welcome everyone to the podcast. This is we were just talking a little bit here before. We're just really looking forward to diving in together today. Lots to share. And let's begin, as always, with just relaxing, releasing the tension in the body, just to help us to open up to inspiration, and opening with a little prayer, short prayer here to start our podcast together. So welcome everyone, and dive into this little practice with us if you can. It's a great way to it's always good to relax the tension in the body, especially during times like this that we're finding ourselves in, to find ways to relieve stress and to clear the mind and just be open to new opportunities, new ideas, new things that could come into your life. So we'll be breathing in fresh, revitalizing energy, and then just exhaling out all of your cares and worries. For this time you're listening to the podcast, let's go on a worry fast together. We're not going to worry about anything as we're tuning in together. So to do this, we're just going to take a short and long double inhalation. We're going to tense all the muscles in the body, then exhale and relax. So let's do that together. You can close your eyes if you can do that. And just taking a deep normal inhalation, breathing in and all the way out. And now double inhale and tense. Inhale, tensing all the muscles in the body, low, medium, high, vibrate with willpower, and exhale. Relax, release, feel, let go of the tension. Again, inhale intense, low, medium, high tension in all the muscles, and exhale. Relax, release, feel, dissolve. Last round, inhale intense, low, medium, high tension in all the muscles, and relax, release, feel, just feel all of that stress, all of those cares and worries just melt away. O Infinite One, make us a channel for thy love. Through us, reach out to seeds, to sow seeds of love in barren hearts everywhere. Om Shanti Shanti, peace.
Love that feeling. Welcome home.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm fresh from Thailand. I got my shirt from Thailand here with Hanuman
That's
on it.
awesome.
I got a Hanuman amulet here that I got in Thailand. You won't be able to see this here, but it's this tiny little super detailed Hanuman that I can wear around my neck for special occasions. And yeah, it was a really great time. I think we talked a little bit about that. I was going to Korea and Thailand in the last episode, and just returning here the end of last week.
Yeah, I mean, the art on that shirt looks incredible. Do you know the artist that put that together?
This is this is based on what's known in Thailand as sakyan, which is a style of tattooing over there, where you're basically, tattooing power symbols on you, or symbols for different different aspects, different signs that will be like very helpful for you on your journey. It's based in Buddhist precepts. It's eventually I'm looking to get a Sakyan tattoo. Been talking with some different artists over there to be able to get it. It's done in a traditional hand, poke way, old school style. It's a very ceremonial style of getting tattooed. And so yeah, they have these shirts around with the Sakyan. Like they have also these like little printed like prayer flags with the different deities on them. And so yeah, it's a really fascinating.
That's cool.
It's a really fascinating culture there of tattooing and Buddhism, and the Ramayana story over there is hugely popular. So I was really in heaven getting it to go back there and see it after 20 years have passed.
That's cool. You're running out of canvas though. Where are you thinking of putting the tattoo?
Yeah, right. You gotta always find spots for it. Yeah, I've got quite a bit of room around I can find on different rigs and on the back and things like that. So
take us through it. So where did you go first, and like right through your journey? I'd love to hear a little bit more about the exploration through Asia.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll kind of like just kind of run through it quick and then get more into kind of like lessons and feelings, because I can like recap my trip for ever. I don't know if anybody likes to just hear my vacation recap, but but the short of it is that we initially stopped in Seoul, Korea, which is a place that we've been doing layovers at for years. When we traveled to Asia, we'd stop in Seoul, and we'd just been in the airport there, and just the people there always just seem so friendly, and the airport there is the most futuristic, coolest airport I've ever seen in my life. And so we're like, yeah, next time we travel, let's try to spend a little time in Korea. And so this was my wife and I, and we spent 4 days in Korea, and really happy that we did that. I really enjoyed being there. It was like traveling to the future. The architecture there, it's just like so clean and modern, and the design there is just beautiful, and the people are so polite and helpful and friendly. And I just really love the vibe of Korea. It seemed like a very sort of like sensitive, friendly culture. They kind of it was very much different than other parts of Asia, where people really kind of keep to themselves and won't look at you or talk to you unless you engage with them first. And it was really great being there. I loved seeing the Korean temples. There's such a beautiful aesthetic there, and they have so much hand painted decoration throughout the temples there that I was really interested in seeing.
Mm.
And so got to visit the temples there. And actually, while we visited one of the big temples, it started snowing, which was nice for me because I'm in Florida. I don't get to see snow very
That's
often.
right.
And so that was really nice. Stopping in Korea was a great time. The museums, the temples. We went to Jeju Island, so the nature out there too was really great.
Wow.
And then we met some friends in Korea, and then took the flight over to Bangkok from Korea. And this for me was a return to the first place that really cracked me open. We've been talking a lot about the hero's journey, and the Ramayana itself is the quintessential, seemingly original hero's journey story.
Yeah.
And for me, like going to Thailand in 2003, for me was really so much similar to crossing the threshold in the stages of the hero's journey, where it's the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, the meeting of the mentor, meeting someone that encourages you to go ahead and do it,
Mm.
and then crossing the threshold. So there was really that for me. Is like back in 2003, I hadn't even been to California or New York yet. I had a friend who had been traveling to Thailand, and he'd been doing world travels already, and invited my wife and I to come along 20 years ago. And I was just like, she wanted to go. She's super adventurous, very great at physical things, figuring out transportation, all that kind of stuff, where I was more afraid of it. I was scared, and I didn't want to go. I was like pushing back, saying like, no, I don't want to go. Like, and so she encouraged me to go, and then I decided to go. And that for me, going to Thailand, it was such an exotic, strange new world that it just completely opened my mind to a lot of the things that I'm doing now and interested in now. Like, it opened me up to sacred art, to spirituality, things that I was so closed off to before I had gone there. It paved the way for becoming interested in meditation, and then into
Wow.
psychedelic medicines, and to creating art in a more spiritual way. So that first trip was like so pivotal for me. And in relation to seeing your life as a hero's journey, I feel like now, having gone there 20 years ago and all the things that I've been through since then, and now returning back home, I feel like this is my return home now, with my gift for the people, kind of an
Wow.
idea on the hero's journey. I feel like it was such a crucial sort of end to the, like kind of bookend to that part of my life. And now getting to go back there with who I am now and the things that I have learned, and bringing that back with me is I think is going to be so important
I love
for
that.
going forward.
Chris, you said the hero's journey, and you kind of laid out four unique experiences along that journey. Can you just recap that one more time? That you said a
Yeah,
few, and crossing the threshold was the end, but
yeah.
it's big.
So the hero's journey, this is something that I've been so fascinated with ever since I learned about it from Joseph Campbell so long ago. And these travels really opened up my interest in these things as well. And so the hero's journey, I don't have the full stages here in front of me, but as I remember this here in my mind, the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell talks about, and also you'll see it in all of the movies that we love. We'll see it in all of the books that we love. It's such a ingrained uh, phases that are just in so many things. And then the amazing, wonderful thing is that when we look at our life and we start to plug in our own experiences, we start to realize that we have also been living out this hero's journey. And when we do that, we open up ourselves to start living in such a magical, interesting way. Our seemingly mundane life starts to take on new form as we see ourselves as the hero in the story. We start to see the resistance that we feel as the monsters and the dragons. We start to see the allies that come into our life as these spirit helpers that are there to help us. It could even be like spirit animals that come into our life that teach us things. And so we go on this it makes life into just this such a more fun experience when we start to view it in that way.
Yeah.
So that's what I really want to encourage people here with what we're talking about today, is this theme of the hero's journey, that everyone is on one, or perhaps you've had the call to adventure, maybe you haven't taken it.
Mm.
You know, like so often in our lives, we get these opportunities, we get these ideas, and we in that flash of a moment, we visualize like what our life could be like if we would just do this, and then we get scared. So just like me saying in that idea, I had this opportunity to go travel to this new world, but I was scared. I'd never been to Asia before. I didn't know the language. I'm not good with transportation and all these kind of things. So I was nervous about it. So you have the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, which is you'll see always in our stories. The hero will have this thing that calls him, and then he'll say no, or him or her. And then you'll have a meeting of the mentor, which is the next phase. Someone that comes into your life that hears what you're talking about and encourages you to do it. And you get like a new sense of courage from them. And then you go ahead and go for it. And then it's crossing the threshold. That's when you've left your familiar world behind and you go out into that distant new world and you start going on this adventure.
Love it. I feel it in so many aspects of you could experience this in your career. I think that's one of the most clear, especially if you're at that stage of life, in terms of your career and the direction you're trying to go in, even if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur. As a parent, sometimes we get to the space where like you're almost thrust into the situation and you almost avoid, like you have no choice, but you're just like, I still feel like a kid inside. How am I responsible for this other life? And then there is this moment where you just realize like, wow, like this being is so dependent on me. I have no choice. I have to do this. And you're surrounded by people who have walked the journey prior to you and say to you, you can do it. I had less than you had, and I'll support you. And it could be your mom and dad. So grandparents' love is like the most important. Every parent, if you have a grandparent there to support you while your child develops, it's like the biggest blessing. It's better than the most money in the world, because not only do they they afford you time to at least feel like you're still a human being outside of being a parent for your child, but they bring with them love. So you place your child safely in someone's hands who love them as much as you, arguably more than you on some days when you're just trying to usher your kids out. But it's like this, it is kind of like this hero's journey where like whatever you pick through, sometimes you go through these experiences in life where you feel completely overwhelmed by them and almost like I'm not worthy to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get these people that give you the gentle push, like a mentor that's like, you can do this. What you seek is within, and and I'll be here to support you and guide you. And then all of a sudden you embrace it and you surpass not only, their expectations, but your own, and you're off to this grand adventure. And, but I think a lot of us don't realize, like to your point, you don't realize sometimes that you're even on this hero's journey. So because you're not aware of it, or you fail to recognize it, or you almost kind of refuse to see it as such. But if you do embrace it, like you said, it's like turning a video game on and taking on this role of Mario and, trying to save the princess and getting through Bowser's castle. And you may fall in the hole, or the mushroom might touch you and then you die and you come back, and you're never really you're not like, oh man, I don't want to do this level anymore. It's like, okay, next time I do this, I'm going to be careful of that. I'm going to jump even further. I'm going to make sure I get a running start to get over that hole. Or this is how I beat Bowser. And it's like there's an excitement when obstacles are presented to you in the video game. But it's like because you know what you're signing up for, and you're going into it knowing that these obstacles are going to get you sometimes, but the prize is worth it, and the journey is incredible. But I don't think a lot of us choose to take that approach in this game of life, and so we get defeated by these little battles that we perceive to be losses. So adopting the hero's journey, being able to recognize it in all of the facets of your life, really does create the opportunity for growth and inspiration and motivation, to get through that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great example because so many have gone through that, whether on purpose or it just happens. And so it's it's a perfect example also too, because it's so common, so many people become parents in this world, but it is so magical and crazy. And how did you do it?
Yeah.
Like when you think about so many, friends of mine that had kids struggling already, especially artists struggling already. And then it's like thinking about now I'm going to have somebody that I'm responsible for in addition to myself. How is this going to be possible in any way, shape, or form? And then always the report back, if they just stayed brave and went through it and did their best and stepped up to the plate, and it's always the report back is just like, my life is so much better now. I'm getting so many new opportunities. Things are because you decided you had to be the hero. You
Yeah.
had to step up and become bigger than you were before. And it made me think when you were talking, it's just we see our lives as so mundane. We get so trapped in this thought of that the life is struggle, and that I think also too, we get caught up in the stresses of life and all of the little minutia of things, and we get worried about it, and then we're missing the part of it that could be so powerful for us. We're missing opportunities that could come about.
Yeah.
We're missing the opportunities to meet those spirit helpers that could be there for us to help us. So yeah, like when in this conversation, what I'd like to really propose to everybody is like, let's enter into a place of so much more play and fun in our lives. And it just takes that little flip to see it in a different way. And then all of a sudden, once you have this also framework for the hero's journey and you start to get interested in it, and I'll be honest, for me, it's like, it's taken a long time for me to wrap my mind around this. But if you hear these kind of things and it's interesting to you, just continue exploring it and it'll blossom more and more and more in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you said a couple of things, over the course of this podcast that, not this one particularly, but all of our podcasts together, that I've probably tried to internalize, more so, as I go through this with this perspective that I gain every time you and I sit down like this. But the one that stands out to me the most is this life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Like all of it is unfolding for you and waiting for you to respond to it. And I think that has been the biggest lesson, that I've taken away from our relationship, and to be able to see even the toughest situation like that presents itself to me, whether it's with my kids or my wife or my career or my business, or just on a personal health journey. What am I supposed to learn here? Why is this happening? Instead of, woe is me, this is another, why is my life so hard? Instead of seeing that, it's like, what is it trying to teach me? What is this experience trying to teach me? And something as simple as, and maybe this sounds trivial to some, but when I'm working out and exercising and I get a little injury, like a micro injury somewhere, and it's like, now I can't lift my shoulder above my, this is as far as I can go, and now I'm in some pain. It's like, oh, as soon as I start working out again, this happens. Well, yeah, maybe. but maybe also, you're at a stage of your life where you're either pushing too hard, or you need to think about your form a little bit, or maybe a different type of exercise. Like, there's so much that is going to preserve you in a way that's going to allow you to have greater maybe greater progress, maybe more longevity, a healthier life. You have no idea why this small injury or big injury occurred that just forced you to pump the brakes, to really rethink what you're doing, recalibrate, and then plan it more effectively. Like, if you look at it like that, then you're not going to be so upset at that injury. You'll see it as an opportunity to repurpose yourself in a way that maybe brings about the outcome that you're actually seeking.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great one too. You can see these steps in everything. So you get this inspiration to start working out. You get the drive to do it. You probably thought twice about it, nah, or maybe in the past you balked at it and you didn't go do it, even though you felt like it was really time to start exercising, and you said nah, and then maybe you started, maybe you heard someone speaking, maybe there's some mentor in there, somebody that encouraged you, something that you heard that made you go, no, I'm going to do it. And then you go out and you do it. You cross the threshold. You get that gym membership. You show up there and you start working out. Then you're met with the dragon. You exercise and oh, you hurt yourself, and you're like, you could just give up at that point or you could see it as, oh, well, this just isn't for me, or whatever. But if you see your life as you as the hero in the journey, and of course that you're going to face monsters and dragons in the story,
Yeah.
or else the story would suck.
Yeah,
uh,
that's key. That's the part that I think people miss the most. You said to me once, if you went to the movie and it was all predictable and the hero has no challenges, you would walk out of that movie. You wouldn't even make it to the end of the movie because you're like, this is the most boring movie I've ever been in.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's funny, really, that when it happens to us, we don't see it as a great plot.
Mhm.
That's the real illusion that we're all in. We think that we're this physical body because we see it. We wake up and it's here, and we think that we're this body. We think that everything that happens to us happening to us, but it's we're going to all recognize this very soon, as more and more virtual reality becomes a thing, that when we just go into spaces and we're acting out stories and we're being heroes and we have all of the sensory inputs and all of that, it's going to be so obvious that this is what's happening right now in these bodies. And it's I just want to encourage everybody that's listening to this, just open up to the more play in your life, open up to seeing yourself as the hero. When difficulties arise, be like, yeah, this is hard because I'm the hero in the story, and the hero always goes through hard things, and there's always going to be resistance when I'm crossing that threshold into a new good thing for myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, every little thing can be like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, reminding yourself that you're not alone is also important as well. There's so many people that have walked the path. And, you'd be surprised. Like, I can't remember. I have a good friend of mine, actually. She was telling me this story about someone who took their life, and that she knew really well. And she said, there's like, it was an anger towards this person because she's like, she could have picked up the phone and called me. I'd have never, let her be. And like let her be on her own. Like, I would never make her feel like she couldn't, she was a burden. And she says, and I went to the funeral and there was hundreds of people there to celebrate this person who felt so alone. And she said, I wonder if she was even aware how many people cared for her and wanted the best for her and would drop it all to be there for her. And sometimes I think we go through this hero's journey and we're like, well, it's so hard. No one knows what I'm going through, or I'm going to be a burden on somebody else. And, I think it's important to remind each other, like, once we are on this hero's journey, there will be moments where you will feel alone, and there will be moments where you have to be alone, right? Sometimes you want to go into a space where you could be alone with your thoughts, where you can find yourself, so you can learn to trust yourself. But just know, though, that when it feels like everything is against you, when you feel like you're all alone, and you you feel like if you reach out, you'll be a burden. You are not. There are so many people. And even if they don't say your name, like for example, watching or listening to this podcast, everyone that's listening to this, I have a vested interest in you living your highest self, like you reaching your potential, and you as well, brother. Like we want everyone that's listening to this podcast to feel like they can achieve the life that they feel like they're deserving of and that they want for themselves and for their family. And we are in your corner rooting for you. And
Mm-hmm.
so you may not even know the people who are rooting for you, or you may not have a personal relationship with them, but I think there's a lot of people in this world that are hoping that you reach your potential. The reason why I know this is because a rising tide lifts all boats. And if we have human beings out there trying to be the best version of themselves, it's like that ripple effect. It's like throwing a stone into the water, and that you may not affect me directly, but you're going to affect someone else. That's going to affect someone else that will eventually come into my path, and my journey, and my life will be improved by it. So we all have a vested interest in each other's potential and success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's why we're doing it's therapy for us to have these conversations. But yeah, so much we want to share that with you. And I had a friend that took his own life as well, and I've had conversations with friends who have fortunately called me in times where they were thinking about it, and yeah, just being able to just be there for somebody. Like we all want to be able to do that in our lives. We all want to be able to be a person that can help talk you off the ledge. And so yeah, if you feel like that, just it is so important to reach out and just have that meeting with the mentor when you're feeling like all is lost,
Yeah.
to reach out to somebody, because there are so many people that care about you that you don't even realize. And life, oftentimes it's not as bad as it seems. We can get so caught up in our minds and making up stories about things that are in no way true.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we want to send out this positive vibes to everybody that's listening, and help each other along this journey, because it's hard. Life
It
is
is
this
hard.
life is hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that you chose to be alive during this time, it's you're a brave soul to come
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
during this time. You came here because it's hard. You came here to do it because we go to the moon not because it's easy, because it's hard.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what you've done. You're so I'll tell a little story here, and then I'll kind of get into I want to break down like some of the artist journey, a book from Stephen Pressfield that I brought up a little bit last week, and then kind of show how it applies to my life, and my trip to Thailand. But I had this really great experience during after my meditation this week, that I shared with the group last night. And it was this peak experience. Sometimes you have that, where you really feel that you're connected with the self. You understand your oneness. You understand that you're not confined in this little body. You have this expanded space awareness. You feel like you could just, with your mind, travel anywhere in the galaxy or in the multiverse. You feel like there's nothing keeping you here except yourself. And so I had this moment of transcendent realization of that. It was just a blissful, beautiful experience. And in that moment, I felt like I could just leave this whole age behind. I could leave all of the troubles and cares of the world behind and just go to a higher age where everyone is walking around with full enlightenment. And so in that moment, like as I was sort of preparing to leave, I felt like my higher self, or my soul, like really just sort of put on the brakes there and was like, and it said to me, like, no. I just had this feeling of, it wasn't a voice, but it was just a feeling of like, no, you don't want to leave this. You came here for this.
Mm.
You came here to help. your whole life you've been chiseled and shaped and turned into this person who is here for this age, for this time, to learn these lessons, and then the lessons that you're learning to help and share others, to be lights in the world. What if all of the people who are energetic protectors just wanted to leave and leave all of this behind? Like, no, you're here. Actually, the best thing that you could be doing is to be here in this age, with the wars, with the all of the troubles, with all of the the things that we have to worry about in this life, that all the struggles that we go through, that we wish were different. We're here in this time, in this age, to help and to be lights in this world. So my mind, it was like my higher self kind of came in and just showed me that I'm here. And then I'm here for this reason. And then at that same time, since I love the Ramayana story, the story of the monkey army, and so I'll just recap this part of the story real quick to put it into perspective. And this is what's cool about studying scriptures, because in meditations you can get these hero's journey, full experiential lessons, because you've been studying it. And so the lesson, the experience that I had in that moment was that I remembered that Vishnu, the preserver, the god of the preserver, he, in the story of the Ramayana, he comes to earth for a certain purpose, because there's this 10-headed demon king, Ravana, who's just wreaking havoc on the earth. And so all the gods come to Vishnu as the preserver and says, we need your help. And so he speaks to Brahma, the creator, and recognizes that Ravana, the 10-headed demon king, he's all powerful because he's been granted a boon by Brahma to have power and invincibility against all of the gods. No gods can harm him. No demons can harm him. But the thing that he forgot in his arrogance is he left out men and animals. He in his arrogance, he thinks that there are no consequence to him, so he left that out. So Vishnu is like, I'll come to earth as a man, and I will defeat Ravana. And so he goes to earth as a man. Shiva, who is the part of this trinity of creation, destruction, preservation, which is just the creator force of the universe. Shiva, who is always meditating on Vishnu, recognizes that Vishnu is taking birth on earth to go live out this great adventure. And so he says to himself, why should I not be able to go on this fun adventure and help my friend, my lord? And so he takes birth as Hanuman, as the monkey, and to go help Ram. And at that same time, all of the gods who are meditating on Vishnu and on Shiva, all of the gods that you hear about, they all want to join too. They go, oh, these my lords are going down to earth on this great adventure to destroy this demon king. Like, we want to go too. So all of the gods take birth as the monkeys and go down as the monkey army to go fight like in this great battle against the 10-headed demon king and defeat them. So in that moment, as I was having this peak experience of feeling that I could go anywhere, I could leave this whole world behind and all of its troubles and everything, I got this feeling that I was like one of those monkeys who was already in the astral realm at some point, is in bliss, hanging out with high beings, enjoying the astral world. And then I got this sense of like, no, the world needs us. I want to come down into this world and to have this great adventure. And so I had this feeling like I'm like one of those monkeys that came here. And if you remember in the story, Hanuman throughout his life, he gets cursed to forget his true powers, because he's a little child monkey, and he can get into a lot of trouble if you can pick up a mountain and throw it across the world. So they cursed him to forget his powers. So he lived his whole life, like a long period of his life, thinking his life was just mundane, thinking that he was just a monkey, just like us. We just we see our world as like not special, not interesting, just mundane. And then one day when he is needed, when Ram shows back up in his life and it's time for him to help Ram, then he is actually awakened to his true powers. This humanoid bear warrior, Jambavan, tells Hanuman of his true identity, that he is a god and he has all of these powers. And as soon as he tells him that, he's awakened to his true powers, and then he's able to like enact his mission on Earth. And so like I'm just having this whole thing kind of play out in my mind as like I'm like this monkey that has come to Earth. I'm wanting to escape because it just seems so mundane and kind of gross, all the things that are going on in this world. Like, why am I here? Why do I want to be here? Shouldn't I just go to some better place? And then getting the realization is like, no, you came here. The 10-headed demon king is here. He needs to be defeated, in any what a metaphorical ways that we're thinking about.
Yeah.
And what a shame it would be if you left and recognized that you didn't fill your mission. You didn't heed the call to adventure. You didn't help Ram. You would be kicking yourself and then want to come back in and try again.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of like the recap of what I was feeling.
With Hanuman and the monkeys I knew of, I didn't know of the god that came down as a human. So who,
Yeah,
like, because that was, I don't know that was something that we even talked about in the past.
yeah, that's Rama. He's the main hero of the story, is Rama. And so yeah,
Right.
that's the Vishnu, the preserver, comes down as Ram, the human, in order to do this great battle.
So because I always felt like Hanuman was the hero. So what's the connection between Rama and Hanuman?
So Hanuman is a force that is always present. Hanuman doesn't always have to be a monkey in a story, but whenever. So there's part of the Ramayana that I love, that where Rama and his brother Lakshman are trapped in this cave, and there's seemingly no way out. And Lakshman says to Rama, it's like, Rama, like kind of breaking kayfabe, like breaking character in the moment. It's like, Rama, like, come on, like, bro, you're God, like, just get us out of here, and then he says, when the world is in trouble, they call to me. When I am in trouble, I call to Hanuman.
Yes. Yes. So is Hanuman a more powerful god than Rama?
He's his helper, his servant. He's always there for him whenever he needs anything in the physical world. Because because it's almost like they're playing this game with certain code and certain rules, where it's like, we're not just gonna okay, we got in trouble, let's like hit reset on the game and get out of here. It's like, no, this is how the game works. Hanuman is there as the inspiration. So it actually also teaches us. So even though Rama is all powerful and God incarnate, he still quiets his mind, calms himself, looks for inspiration outside himself. And in reality, in the story, Hanuman is Shiva, which is also just part of the Godhead. So the human Rama quiets his mind, tunes in, says, no, I know Hanuman will arrive and help us. And so it's giving us also an example of like how to live. It doesn't come from our human abilities. It doesn't come from our might. It comes from us tuning into a higher power and gaining what we need, and when we need it in the moment. And so he's kind of demonstrating that for us.
I just, it's such a beautiful poetic story, and one that I feel like needs to, it's great that people have taken versions of it and have now made things like Star Wars and all these other amazing epics. But I feel like it's so rich in its, tapestry and depth in terms of its wisdom. And I just wish that maybe it's just I'm not aware of all of the resources, but I hope that this becomes something that is picked up even by popular culture, like the story as itself. I think that it would be pretty magical for everyone. And I know for certain cultures it is. It's like, they know it as much as they would know Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Like it's even probably greater than that in some parts of this world. But I think here in North America, I just wish that these stories were told more. And I'm so grateful that we have the chance to have create a podcast where we can talk about some of these incredible stories that have been told for thousands of years.
And for me, like that was discovering that story, which is painted. So I'll get into, okay, so all right, so when I went to Thailand for the first time, there's a place called the Grand Palace.
Mm.
And the Grand Palace, it's a temple palace, and on the walls is painted the whole story of the Ramayana in excruciating detail. And I remember that wall, like, it's like a distant dream, like remember seeing it. I had no context for it. I had no interest. Remember, I had no interest in temples and spiritual art.
Right.
I really didn't know much about Thailand before I went. I just had a friend that told me about it. I remember, like, I didn't have a smartphone. It's like things weren't on the internet like they are now. I didn't have any real understanding of what I was getting myself into. And so when I first showed up at a temple there, it was just like overwhelming how beautiful it is there, and the detail and the artwork and the sculptures there, and like even just looking at a door entrance to a temple there is just overwhelmingly beautiful, just fractal detail, sparkling gold, just shimmering colors. And you go inside the space and there's just painted on the wall, and I didn't remember just how big that mural was. Maybe I only saw part of it when I was there the first time, but this time I was, studying the whole thing. I just had to tell my friends, like, they knew, like, when I was there, hey, Chris is going to be here for a while. They're walking around doing their thing and coming back to meet me. But the whole story of the Ramayana in Thailand, it's called the Ramakien. I believe the king had added some additional storyline to it, which is perfectly acceptable in the Ramayana, because it's a story that is ever living, ever changing, ever new for the time period, and great sages throughout history have added to it. And seeing that again for the first time, seeing that again, it just awakened that in me in such a powerful way. And I was just so enamored by the artwork and getting to see it after being so captivated by it for the last 20 years. And I'll say too, when I was in Korea, the first night, I was having a little I woke up in the middle of the night, and because of jet lag and new surroundings, I was having a little trouble sleeping. Your schedule is basically opposite, 12, I think it's 12 hours difference, so it's exactly the opposite. So I was having a little trouble sleeping. I took a little bit of THC tincture just to help me, like, relax and go back to sleep. And it actually did completely the opposite. Like, I had a full-blown psychedelic trip.
No
This was
way.
first night in Korea, and it was so wonderful. It was like one of the best spiritual experiences that I've had. That and most memorable. It was just recapping all of this kind of stuff that we're talking about, seeing it as a hero's journey, showing me how much is coming, like this feeling that something great wants to come through you as an artist, and that everything that's happened up to this point has been perfect, and taking you to this point, and to trust it, and to know that you're on the right path. So the trip started out really great with that, where I was just like opened up to it in big ways. And And so I'll just, yeah, being back there and getting to visit the temples in Thailand was even more magical than I thought it was going to be. Even though now that I go there 20 years later, the place is packed. You know, the giant reclining Buddha that's enormous. Before we could just walk in there and just be in there by ourselves. Now you have to wait in a line for, you know, probably 45 minutes before you get to see it. Things have changed so much,
Of course, yeah.
But feeling the energy of that space and walking around it throughout the day and then going back and meditating at night and just having, you know, visions of all of that artwork and all of that beauty was so good for me. And it's opened up and showing me that all of these things that I've been studying around the hero's journey, around like what we talked about in the last podcast of truly wanting to step into the role, step into the power of being a true artist that is being guided by intuition, being guided by muses. Because my previous journey as an artist, I was a commercial illustrator. It was more so like getting creative briefs, having an objective, making artwork to fulfill certain marketing needs, all of this kind of stuff. So it's now like this, my new crossing the threshold now has been to move out of that, where I used to make my living as a commercial illustrator and designer, into this new phase of my life where I fully want to be stepping into power, taking the hard-won experiences and lessons and everything that I've learned throughout my hero's journey of my life, and then bringing back a gift for the people, you know, bringing back this thing that will be beneficial. And I think, you know, this podcast is part of that.
Sure.
The meditations that I'm offering is part of that. Because this hero's journey that I've been on, that started with crossing the threshold into Thailand, if you know my story, it culminated with me finding my guru, finding my path, being on this, like finding it again in this lifetime, like finding Rama in my story as Hanuman, like meeting Rama, and then Rama saying, no, you're here for this mission.
Yeah.
And waking that up in me. And then Stephen Pressfield, he wrote a book called The Artist's Journey, where he says he has this theory about the hero's journey, is that first we go through the hero's journey in our life. We cross that threshold, we face those demons, we find those allies, we get all of these experiences, we become hardened by battle, we then, you know, and then you have this great thing within you now that you can share with others. Like, you've gone through all the different things that others could go through, and then you are able to offer this great thing back to the world through your art, through whatever ideas that come up into your mind, through your business ideas, through inventions that you might have, through poetry that you might write, paintings, sculptures, whatever it is. You come back now with this gift for the people. And you move into this new journey, which is called the artist's journey, where he says all it is now you having full faith in yourself as an artist, having full faith that you can cross the threshold. He says every time you do this is another hero's journey. You cross the threshold from your ego thinking mind, and just like in Buddhism, you go into a place of no mind, and then you allow for creative inspirations to come into your mind. And then you have this great idea. You balk at the idea, just like you would crossing the threshold. You're like, it's too hard. There's too many reasons why this isn't a good idea, that I can't do this. And then you meet with the mentor, somebody, you know, a friend of yours, you talk about the idea. They say, I love that. You've got to do that. And then you say, okay, I'm going to do it. And you begin, you know, so now you crossing the threshold again as an artist. And he says that this artist journey, which you'll be doing that over and over, he says this is this is the last phase of your journey. Like this is the last phase. Your artist journey is going to last throughout the rest of your life until you fully let go of everything and you merge back with the infinite. And so we all in our lives like become artists, and we all have that within us, but maybe we're not heeding the call to start the adventure.
Oh, I love that. I don't think it just gives people so much more perspective, because I think a lot of people, their default position is sometimes, I shouldn't say this isn't a painting everyone with the same brush, but the imposter syndrome. What do I have to offer? I'm not like Chris. I couldn't possibly ever get to a space where I'm painting on the side of a building for it to look like anything coherent. And anybody, like, I think sometimes even myself as an author, the first few years before I published my first book, I had incredible imposters. Well, who am I to write a book? Who am I to share what's important to me? And why in the world would that have value to someone else? You know, I've had those feelings, and I was had an accomplished professional career. I was hiring and training and running workshops and doing speaking engagements and all of that. And even me at that level felt imposter syndrome, speaking about something I was doing for over 20 years. Yeah, still didn't feel comfortable with it. But to embrace the fact that all of us are artists within our own right and deserve the opportunity to share our art and see it as a gift to everyone, I think that is that's a profound lesson that you just shared with everybody from your travels. That's big for me. That's a huge takeaway.
Oh, good. I'm glad that makes sense to other people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard to articulate these kind of things that we start to feel, and it's having authors like Stephen Pressfield break this down. I've been studying this book for years, and just like I said, like at first I'm just like you. I don't get it. I take a long time to learn things too, but persistence is my superpower. Because if something is intriguing to me, I can allow it to plant a seed in me, and I cannot understand it, but I can go, I know that there's truth here. I know that there's something good here. And then as you live your life and you keep focusing on it, maybe keep returning to a book that you're intrigued by that you didn't quite get at first. And it will keep opening up every year that you read it, every time that you revisit again. Remember those things that sparked in your Joseph Campbell, the godfather of he talked about this hero's journey stuff and made us all aware of it. He said that the biggest thing that he learned by studying these great cultures was to follow your bliss. And follow your bliss. So like if you have these things that pop up in your life, maybe think about back when you were younger, things that got you interested in. But if they're a little, and you can start anywhere. Let little things take you to the next thing. Get really interested in some little thing. If something in this world of dismal, all the stresses in this world, if something catches your attention and sparkles for you, pay attention to it and get interested in it. Get nerdy about it. You don't have to get stuck there forever. And then that little thing is going to lead you to the next little thing, and then the next little thing. And that's going to be how you follow your bliss, and you get the call to adventure, and then you get these hard-won journeys, and then you get to come back with something to share for the world, and then you start to trust and tune into your intuition for what wants to happen through you to happen through you. That's kind of the gist of what I've been getting from it.
I had to literally take the note, Chris. That was just beautiful.
Very cool. Yeah, and I think we're gonna wrap up this podcast here now, and I think we can continue on this. And I'm really actually, I have an idea. I have come back with an idea that I feel that my brother and I have been talking about. You know, he's like sort of the mentor for me at this point, where it's like I keep having that problem where it's like I have this great idea, have this like all of this stuff that we've been talking about is culminating into like a grand idea for myself, and then I had the same thing is happening. No, it's too big, it's too hard, you can't do that. Who are you to do it? And then, talking to someone else, my brother and I are gonna meet here in a little bit. I'm gonna have him we're gonna pep talk each other into this idea, and it will be a gift for the people. And I'm really excited about being able to share that soon. I'll talk to you about it here, and it's going to really become a way that we can all be like. I really want to create artwork that helps build community and gets us talking together, helping each other all together. So it's a way to use artwork and writing and making these stories come to life that we can interact with each other. So I'll be able to share that here probably soon after I really make the commitment to pull it off.
I love it. Chris, thank you so much for all the gifts that you brought back with you. I can't wait to hear about this idea of using artwork to build community and allow us to communicate more effectively and support one another. I just want to recap when you said, like, so follow your bliss, find what sparkles for you, lean into it, embrace it, learn about it, delve into it, and then share it with the world. And then, you'll be able to better trust your intuition, and then you'll know what's meant for you. I think that's absolutely beautiful words of wisdom, and a wonderful way to recap this great podcast with you today.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it's been a joy getting to reconnect with you and to share these things. And yeah, I look forward to getting together again soon. And thanks to everybody for tuning in with us. And we will see you again next time. Blessings, friends.
Blessings.